Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. I am your host for this episode, Michael Thomas, aka the Novice Cinephile, and today we are discussing more My Hero Academia team-up missions. We are covering chapters 2 and 3 of the spin-off manga written by Yoko Akiyama, and joining me, as always, is a good friend and co-host, Dynamite's biggest fan, aka the fastest man alive, Brandon Alvarado.
Yeah, let's do this. Plus Ultra.
Plus
Yes.
Ultra. So our own Eraserhead, our sleeping punster, is not able to join us for this episode, but that's okay. We're gonna have him sit out because we're talking about Hawks, and it's not an Aizawa episode. Isaac will be okay. He will be back. So, we did last week. We covered issue 1 or point 1 and 1 of team up missions. This one kind of just throws us right into it, right? This is mission number 2.
Yes.
The quickest undercover hero.
Yes.
And in this chapter, Deku and Bakugo team up with the number 2 hero Hawks, which I think is pretty cool. These are characters we don't see interact hardly at all. I think as far as the anime goes, they've only had like one interaction in the entire series up to that point. So this is kind of cool. Brandon, I want to know your thoughts on this one because especially you being the Scarlet fan and they basically dealing with the speedster as their villain in this mission.
That was kind of depressing. But I like the fact that the speed was like the topic of discussion. Yeah. Because you really haven't seen a speedster in the world of My Hero Academia. I don't know about Vigilantes. I haven't read it. But you really haven't
seen You do see speedsters and Vigilantes, and in the main timeline, do not disrespect Tenya Ida like that.
Do not disrespect who?
Ingenium.
Oh, true. But I mean, is he a speedster though?
It varies.
It varies, right? Depends on the engine. But I love the interaction with Bakugo and Deku. I mean, whenever you see them in a panel, you know you're going to have a great time because number one, Bakugo is going to treat Deku like crap, but he's going to be the best partner he could ever have. Yeah. And Deku is going to always trying to reason with him kindly, but also be the best partner that Bakugo could ever have. So I like, but more importantly, I love that we have this interaction with Hawks because Hawks has always been a mysterious character because the first time we meet him, I mean, we already know that he's kind of working both sides, not because he is a villain, but because he's an undercover officer. That's kind of his specialty. Yeah, but I like how right? Exactly. But I like how this one exclusively focuses in him as a hero and how he operates when he's heroing, which we rarely see him do. Like before the My Villain Academia arc, the only real heroing quote unquote moment that we get with him is from the flashbacks from what was his name? The one that's like a the one with the quirk that's like a black shadow.
Oh yeah, Tokoyami.
Tokoyami, like the only real heroing kind of hints that we get of Hawks are really just the flashbacks from Tokoyami because we can't really count the whole thing with Endeavor and the Nomu because that was 100% Endeavor's show, right? So
yeah, it was Endeavor's show. Hawks was doing the best he could, and then Mirako just like stole the spotlight last second.
Exactly. So having him front and center as leader here, and using his 2 recruits
as bait
to set a trap is amazing.
I'm awesome. Glad you mentioned that Tokoyami flashback though, right? Because this just kind of builds off of that idea of when we see him working with Tokoyami, one of the biggest things was he was always like 100 times faster than his sidekicks. So they were always left in the dust and basically doing cleanup after him. It's interesting because this is, again, like you said, our first real look into his method of operation, his MO. And basically saying, hey, you guys distract him. And when the moment's right, I'm going to swoop in and save the day. Not in a, I'm going to steal the glory or I'm just using you to set a trap, but this is just what he does because, as far as we know up to this point, he is the fastest character in the series, right?
I don't think it's a coincidence that his wings are red.
Yeah.
And if you look at him, his visor, it's kind of looks like a flash visor.
I mean, yeah, his entire aesthetic is very Flash esque, even down to like the
Yes.
emblem on his chest.
Yes.
Can be reminiscent of that idea. And don't
Hmm.
Horikoshi, being the big comic book fan that he is, that could very well be intentional.
Yes. And it makes me think also the idea that how the I like how they kind of answer that maybe that's his answer to the whole Flash Superman speed conundrum.
Hmm.
Like his answer is the fastest man alive flies as opposed to runs.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is a hint of, I mean, I know that Horikoshi didn't write this, but I wonder if this is a hint to that playfulness or idea that a lot of people say that Superman is faster than the Flash. And but if they both run, the Flash wins. But if Superman flies, Superman's faster. Even though I know the truth, but
Yeah, I mean, one can change time and the other one can't, unless we're counting
uh,
Superman the movie, which we don't.
which we don't.
That's
But
the
yeah, I
only time
think
he's ever done that, but let's not get into that one.
yeah. But I love the interaction. I love the fact that even though Deku and Bakugo were used as bait, to catch this speed demon or whatever his name was.
I don't
Um,
even think we ever gave him a name, honestly.
I don't. Yeah, I like the fact that. By the way, webs again. Spider Man's
Mm,
everywhere. Um,
yep.
I like the fact that the best part of this one here is not just the whole speed thing, the trap, the modus operandi of Hawks, but the idea the meal, the dinner that they share at the end. To
Yes.
me, that's the moment because and it's funny because the best lines of the chapter are not said by Deku, are not said by Bakugo, are not said by Hawks, are said by the owners of the restaurant. And the idea that Hawks only brings people here that he's fond of, which to me is awesome because, like, again, the only person that we kind of see him be warm with without having an ulterior motive, kind of, because you can say Endeavor, because we do find out later in the story that Endeavor was his favorite hero, right?
Yeah.
Um,
They even alluded to that last season where we see like young Hawks with his Endeavor plushie.
yeah, yeah. Um, but the idea that Endeavor does believe in Hero Society, he knows the weaknesses, he knows the faults of it, but he believes in Hero Society, and he believes that these kids are the future. He himself being a kid, right? Because one of the things that we need to know about Hawks is that he's a prodigy, right? That's
Yeah.
like that's what everybody knows. But the idea that he's able to see these kids and the fact that he honors them with a meal as a means of seeing them as equals and as the future, I love that
Yeah.
because you really don't get that from Endeavor. Like you get that from Endeavor now, after the whole thing with Toya and how he's been handling everything post plus Ultra Shigaraki was revealed, right?
Hmm.
Which by the way, plus Ultra Shigaraki, they haven't called him that again, and that was like the best name they could ever give him. Because it's kind of like a punch in the face to All Might. Um,
For sure.
but I like the fact that that happens because it makes you think like Hawks is okay. He's cool.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like I'm I might be wrong, but I believe this is the same restaurant that he takes Endeavor at the end of season 4, right?
Probably
So
like when the Nomo attacks.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same buildings, the same
Yeah.
windows and everything so far in
Yep.
this panel. So I think that's really cool. That also shows his respect for Endeavor, right?
Yeah.
Because when we were
Right.
watching that scene, Endeavor is really abrasive and he's very standoffish. He doesn't trust Hawks. And then we find out Hawks is like the secret agent, double agent type thing going on.
Right.
And so it's like, whenever we're in this space, that's where Hawks is comfortable. That's Hawks is like safe space, right? That's
Right.
where he invites the people he cares about. And
And
I
he's
think that's
willing
just,
to let them in. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's just really cool. Playing off of that, it's again team up missions, playing off of things we know from the main story and expanding on that idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
it's
chapter.
great. It's a great chapter, and again, I just love like how they added the onomatopoeia effects. Like when we have a howitzer impact on a St. Louis smash at the same time, it's just great.
Yes. Yes. I like that, which kind of like that's Yoko kind of establishing his style and
Yeah.
how he does My Hero. And I like how already we're seeing different artists give My Hero their own take. And I really like that because that's the beauty about Western comics.
For
You
sure.
have these heroes that are timeless, that different artists give them their take. And the fact that even that My Hero Academia and Horikoshi understands the value of that and how that expands the world, that he's allowing these associates of him to do this, which is awesome.
Do you think Horikoshi like that's very deliberate and intentional on his part? Because think about it. Has there been like really I know there's been like light novels and stuff, but like did Naruto ever get like a major spinoff that wasn't Boruto, which is just a sequel series?
They got like comedy spin-offs,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't really doesn't really count, I think.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Because like this, you're right. It feels very Western in the sense that somebody other than Horikoshi gets to write a story about Deku. And
Yeah.
in manga, that is a big
Right.
deal.
Right.
Like
Right.
Vigilantes is great, but that is through and through a spinoff following a different set of characters, and
And
maybe you'll get an
Horikoshi
appearance of
are
somebody.
involved in Vigilantes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but this one, Yoko's doing a pretty good job, which is pretty awesome. I think you mentioned this is a Horikoshi's assistant, right? Or
yep.
one of them. Yeah.
One of his assistants. Yeah, great
So
stuff. Great stuff. Did you want to move on to chapter or mission 3?
let's do it.
So mission 3 is a really fun one. I think a lot of fans are going to be into this one. If you haven't read it, again, all of these chapters are available on the Viz Media app. Just so you guys know, Volume 3 is not available yet. It came out in February. It hasn't been translated to English. So there is more team up missions coming. It might be towards the later half of the year. Give me 1 second here. Boom. Mission 3, Two Who Support. So in this one, we open up with a familiar face coming to UA,
Yeah.
and it's just very exciting. Finally seeing Melissa Shield show up in Japan, visiting All Might and Deku. Um, it's an idea that I feel like a lot of My Hero fans have had of like,
Yes.
yeah, Melissa and Hatsume would make a dope team. And they just
Yes.
straight up did it
Yes.
in this chapter. What are your like
Yes.
overall thoughts of part of this one, Brandon?
I loved it. Like, and not only this, isn't this the first time Melissa appears in the books?
It's the first time, yeah, that she appears in any
Which
sort of
is
manga. Yeah.
which is great. Not only that, the first time that David Shield is mentioned. And I love the fact how Present Mike in all iterations of My Hero is always the guy that goes like, "Hey guys, if Melissa actually came out here, go watch the movie." Which
He
was
just straight up says, check out
yes,
the movie on page
yes,
7. It is
yes,
incredible.
yes. It's actually amazing. Um, but yeah, and I'm gonna say there's not a lot to say about this chapter except it's all pure comedy and it's great.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it's 100% dedicated to these people that make support items. And you have Hatsume, which is brilliant, but you uses her quirk to do things. And then you have Melissa Shield, which is brilliant, that is quirkless, which is funny because it's kind of like a play on Deku and Bakugo.
Oh my gosh, you're right. That is like a little parallel there. That's great.
Because Hatsume literally is a walking cherry bomb, and then Melissa Shields is kind of like the geek when it comes to building suits and stuff like that. So I like that comparison and that
She's even kind
disparity.
of muttering in one of these panels to like
Yes,
Deku. It's so
yes,
good.
yes, yes. And then All Might is kind of looking at everything happen. I like the fact that we revisit the 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 disaster zone from season one.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
So
that
what ends
place
up
still exists.
happening, it still exists. It didn't get shut down after All Might punched a Nomu through the ceiling.
Yes.
What's really great about this one? So Melissa comes into the picture. She's
Right.
working with the support course
Right.
for reasons. We basically wanted Melissa to show up because it's fun and why not?
Yes.
Deku, All Might, I want your opinions on this one. Goes All Might setting Deku up because it's kind of weird how he's like, you should get your suit serviced, young Midoriya, and it's just kind of like,
Yes.
okay,
Well, well, let's be honest. This is plot convenience after plot convenience for the sake of Melissa and Deku coming back together. Because we gotta admit, probably the ones that ship Uraraka and Deku don't like this. But Melissa and Deku have a lot of chemistry.
they have too much chemistry considering this girl's only appeared twice.
And then the chemistry goes out the window as soon as Deku becomes a mannequin
Yes.
and hilarity ensues.
Yes. So he goes to get his suit serviced. They, as usual, Hatsume is really trying to redesign his suit, which I feel like has to come into play by the end of the series because every time
Yeah.
he sees her, she wants to redesign the suit.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I know that these team up missions might not be canon. Um, Horikoshi hasn't come out and said if they are or not. Considering how much he loves them, I'm sure they probably are. But I wonder if this is going to come back to where Deku's going to need a new suit, and they're finally going to give him that upgrade she's been desperately trying to push off on him since they've
Yeah.
met. But I think it's interesting, just seeing the different styles, right, of how Hatsume wants to basically build everything from the ground up, and Melissa basically just wants to do what Deku was asking for, and that's just like
Right.
reinforce the suit with new materials, be golden. And so we
Yeah.
get again a crazy plot convenience of the two are just going to have a battle, right? They are going to go head to head who can make the best upgrades
Yes.
for Deku. And that's
Yes.
just hilarious.
No, the most hilarious, I gotta say, is the first one that Hatsume does.
Uh-huh.
Don't worry, it automatically dodged. Why didn't it dodge this one? Or it only works for 40 seconds.
It's like, what's the point?
And then he can barely move. And
I
then,
love how she has a switch in her hand too in that panel.
No, and normally, and then you have, of course, Bakugo screaming, "Why the hell is he here?" Like, by the way, can we talk about how Yoko animates Bakugo's voice?
I was gonna mention that in the last one because that was Bakugo centric, but yeah, it comes back here where Bakugo has this very like scratchy. You can tell he's yelling
Yes.
with the way the font is for the text. It's
great. No, and when he says, "Yeah, let him die," because of course they get caught up in the suit battle and on the support battle, and then all hell breaks loose. And you would think that there's a villain attack, but no, they just break
everything.
the stadium.
Yeah. I'm just laughing. Like, it had me dying where Bakugo's just like, get him good, get him killed. You're the best inventor chick. And it's just like, oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I mean, what else is there to say about this particular chapter? That it was just plain fun. It was plain fun. It was hilarious. But more importantly, I mean, Melissa Shields is just a great character. And I love how you have what I love about Melissa Shields' character more than anything is that similar to her father, it just highlights the idea that anybody that pours their heart into something to serve society is considered a hero, quirk or no quirk, which is kind of the point of Two Heroes, right? Because the whole thing about David Shield and sadly the bad decisions that he makes is because he misses the point that just because the symbol of peace was disappearing, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be a new generation that will, because of what All Might did. There's going to be others that are going to be carrying that torch, but also what he can do to help those that want to battle in spite of not being All Might. The fact that he can help them makes him a hero too, because the whole thing of the relationship that they have is like All Might had the utmost respect for David Shield and saw him as a hero because of how he was his support, which is great. It's just a great relationship. I like the fact that they brought her back, and I don't know. It was just a fun chapter, man.
It's great, and everything you just said right there is why her and Deku's chemistry works so well.
Mm-hmm.
Because Two Heroes goes out of its way to basically say, yeah, that's the next generation of David and All Might, right?
Yep.
And
That
so
shot, that shot of Deku of All Might, and then it fades into Deku with the final punch, and David sees it. That is like, again, Two Heroes is my favorite My Hero movie, and it's because of that duo between All Might and Deku at the end. It's just
it's
magic.
iconic. It's so good. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, if you are interested in listening to our Two Heroes review, Leo and Isaac covered that movie. So we'll link that in the description for you. Great film. We need to talk
Phenomenal.
about that one day, Brandon, because it's fantastic.
We do. We do. We do.
But I love the parallel between her and Deku, and I feel like that's why she's a perfect match,
Yep.
foil and friend with Hatsume, right? Because Hatsume is very much the same way
Yeah.
with the way her character is, and like through Hatsume, we're learning that anyone can become a hero. She
Yep.
applies at UA, but she's not in the hero course, and
Support
so
course.
yeah,
Yep.
she's in the support course. So everything that she's helping Deku with is her contribution, right, to society, hero society
Yep.
as a whole.
Yep.
And so I feel like that's what makes this all kind of click into place. And then you just have the fun bits of Mineta and Kaminari and
Of course.
Bakugo and Kirishima
Yeah.
just adding to the nonsense going on in this chapter.
Yeah. And this is a spoiler for those that have not been caught up with the My Hero main book. So, spoiler.
Time
Spoiler.
out, time out, time out. Hold on. We're just going to put
Put
this
it.
on the board. When the spoiler tag goes away on the video, you're safe to come back.
So, I so spoilers. So, the big role that Hatsume plays currently in the war arc is phenomenal. Like, her brilliance and her dedication to support items is the reason why they're able to probably withstand the chance against Shigaraki right now until Deku gets there,
Yeah.
which is great. I love the fact that her character built up to that point, which is great. Spoiler
Agreed.
down.
Okay, we're gonna take the spoilers off. I'm
Yeah.
with you there though. Like I just love how that all kind of builds on
Yeah.
top of everything, which is why I feel like these team up missions. I feel like Horikoshi is counting them as canon.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
Yeah.
I feel like Horikoshi is counting the movies, the Vigilantes manga, and the team up missions as canon. Even the anime filler episodes are considered canon
Yeah.
because he just wants to flesh out that world, and he knows he can't do it all alone because like Selkie and some of the other filler only characters have recently appeared in the manga.
Nice.
So I feel like he's just taking everything in this My Hero universe, tying it all together, which is why I feel like these spin-offs work so well. Vigilantes works because Aizawa can show up or Midnight can show up. It's not a you can't use My Hero Academia characters. You can only use characters
Oh,
for
so it's not like the
Vigilantes.
CW?
Right, exactly. Where we can allude to Batman. You can even have a show called Batwoman, but Batman can't be here. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this chapter is great. It's so much fun. I can't wait to keep reading through this series. I know it's not that long, but each chapter is just so unique. And I just love the whimsy, right? This was just
Yes.
pure fun.
Yes.
And My Hero
Yes.
in its current state is very heavy.
Correct.
And so
It's a nice breather within the 21 days of break.
exactly, it's a good throwback to those vibes you get from seasons 1 and 2 before we see Shigaraki decay his entire family and everything goes downhill.
And then he had to say that.
Hey, I keep my ideals. Sere.
That's awesome.
Was there anything else you wanted to add, Brandon, before we call this an episode?
Let's call it an episode. It was awesome.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us for chapters 2 and 3 of My Hero Academia Team Up Missions. It is a blast covering just the entire My Hero Academia universe, especially while we're still on break, because Horikoshi needs sleep, just like our man Isaac. You can find him at Emblem Maniac on Twitter. He had to miss this episode, but he will be back every week with us doing more My Hero Academia. Subscribe to the Amateur Otaku podcast on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter at Amateur Otaku Pod. Listen to us in your podcast feed. You can take us with you while you're out there mowing the lawn, while you're out there hacking a deer. I don't know. Maybe you're making venison, whatever. We'll be in your ear holes wherever you go. Listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, all the good places except for Podbean, because that's the bad place. They have beef with us. That's all I got to say.
That's the sunken place.
Exactly. That's where we keep Overhaul and Hero Killer staying. It's Tartarus.
Damn.
We don't deal with them.
Yes.
Brandon, where can people find you on the World Wide Web?
You can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on TikTok. Even though I have no idea what I'm doing there. It's awesome.
Nice. You can find me at Novice Cinephile on YouTube, youtube.com/Novice Cinephile, and on Twitter, simply at Novice Cinephile. Also writing for Collider. You can find me on TikTok. I'm everywhere. You can just find me at Novice Cinephile, except for on Instagram, because somebody stole my username. So it's just the Novice Cinephile on Insta. And with that, we will see you guys next week with something My Hero Academia related, I am sure. But until then, go beyond. Plus
Ultra.
Peace.